Hello, everybody, and welcome to our new moon Astroforecast. This moon is going to carry for 2 weeks until we have our next full moon. And this is the major lunation that we're going to talk about this week. So tomorrow on Sunday, January the 18th at 7:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will have the exaction of the new moon at 28 degrees of Capricorn. And this is a really important moon for lots of different reasons. So give me 1 second to go ahead and pull this chart up, and then we can get all the way into it. So, all right. This is our, make this bigger. Sorry, guys. Just getting it situated. All right. So this is our full moon or new moon for this cycle. Now, for those of you guys that are new and you're like, wait, how are you seeing the moon? I show this to you guys a lot, especially in the early, like beginner kind of modules, especially the astrology 101s. But what you would do is you would, here, I'll walk you back. You would go to Google and you would just Google AstroSeek. And then up here, you'll see astroseek.com. You click on that. And then up in this right corner, it says Capricorn moon. This is where the moon is right now. All right. So anytime that you want to know where the planets are, you can also click on this current planets and it'll show you the natal chart for the moment. But if you want to look at the lunar cycles, you go right here and it says Capricorn moon because the moon's in Capricorn right now. And here you can see January 18th, new moon, 28 degrees Capricorn. And you can click this little chart button right here and it will give you the clock face. Okay. Now, this is general mean time, which is, Greenwich Mean Time. This is universal time in astrology, just so you know. I'm so sorry. I literally just choked on my own spit. Sorry, guys. It's late. We are going out of town tomorrow for a mini vacation with our kids. So we've been packing all day for our kids. So little, a little tired, but let's go ahead and get back to it. Okay. So this new moon is extremely important. And that is because it is the first new moon of 2026. And it is also the last new moon before we get into the eclipse cycle. So we are officially, as of yesterday, 1 month away or one lunar cycle away from the eclipse. So we're getting there. And anytime that we get a month out from an eclipse cycle, the corridor starts to open. Really important people start to come into your life. And really important people can start to leave your life. Same with certain jobs, locations where you live, beliefs, habits, addictions, all kinds of things. And what gives this like so much extra energy is the fact that at the same time, we have Mars and Mercury in an exact conjunction at 26 degrees of Capricorn applying, meaning they're still trying to work their way into an exaction. So the energy is building. The moon will be here at 28 degrees with the sun making a new moon. And then Venus will have just crossed into 1 degrees of Sagittarius. And she did that today, actually, or 1 degrees of Aquarius, not Sagittarius. I apologize. And really, really, really close to being in exact conjunction with Pluto. So Pluto will be conjunct Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Let me organize my thoughts for a moment. Venus is going to conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. And when she does, anytime that Venus and Pluto make a connection, it is really deep. It's really intense. It's really probing. It just has a lot of intensity behind it. So be mindful of that. Anything that has to do with finances, relationships, or self-worth and self-esteem, This energy can like really take a hit during this time. It can have a lot of intensity to it. So just keep that in mind. The, other pieces that really stick out is that this new moon plus Mars and Mercury and the sun are all in this very, very strong trine over here to Uranus retrograde at 27 degrees of Taurus. So change is afoot. But what makes this nice is that they are in earth signs. So what they're really trying to do and what Capricorn is about, Capricorn is the master builder. He is the, wise old sage, the philosopher, the wise old man. He knows a lot because he's experienced a lot. Saturn rules gray hairs. He is Father Time and he's Lord of Karma. He knows things. And what he requires is commitment and discipline and a strategy because he's the architect of the zodiac. And a large reason why I decided to build the architect program in Aries is because Aries is about the self. So it's about re-architecting the self. But that's another conversation. So this is a really powerful new moon to reset the foundations of your life. It's a new moon, which means it's a new beginning. It's the first new moon of the year, and it is in the very final degrees of a sign that represents mastery. And because of how well it's being supported with Mars and Mercury and Venus and the sun, is also around the fact that we're looking at longevity. We're looking at commitments that can stand the test of time. That's what Saturn wants to create. He is all about putting in the hard work and the effort as long as there is a return on investment. He is very discerning. He is more strict and businesslike. He has boundaries and he knows the value of time. So he knows when to say yes and no. And because of that, he can be seen as very stern and cold. And in traditional astrology, he's called a malefic, which is a harsh planet. But in modern astrology, he is a lot about commitment and disciplining yourself. So if there is some area of your life that you have really been wanting to discipline yourself around, to really start to build a foundation around, this is the time to set that intention. This is a great moon to build a vision board. It's a great moon to make some sort of commitment, whether it's a commitment in a relationship, whether it's a commitment to moving your body consistently or eating healthy foods or quitting, alcohol or something, quitting thinking negatively, whatever it is something that requires us to grow up and take responsibility and be disciplined about something. Capricorn also rules business. He is like a traditional form of business. And Aquarius, carries on from that, but it is more innovative and technological, and it's usually like online. Capricorn is more of like a family business that has a legacy that it's trying to keep. And just like the Queen of Pentacles, which is Capricorn, she is more focused on prioritizing the safety of her kingdom, her family, and the financial security that brings, and making hard decisions, because Saturn rules the harshness of the world. He rules the 3D world. So he is like, sometimes things are hard, but they're necessary. We have to, be prepared to make hard decisions, what's best for ourselves, what's best for our families, especially with Saturn moving into Aries. It's going to be a lot about really trying to, create boundaries for the self and discipline the self. So it is a really, intricate moon in the way that we have Neptune entering Aries here very soon on the 29th of the month. And then on the 13th of February, we'll have Saturn ingress 0 degrees of Aries, and those two will stay there. Saturn will be there for another 2 years in Aries and 14 years in Aries with Neptune. So a lot of Arian energy. We've still got Chiron freshly direct at 22 degrees of Aries, which is applying, and has been, especially last week, around things like wounds and triggers, around the sense of self and commitment, because Capricorn and Aries square each other. They're both cardinal signs. And They did a lot of work last week of opening up wounds and making us look at our past and dealing with all kinds of triggers around things that we need to be more responsible about. Capricorn rules, economics, not the same way as Taurus. Taurus rules the actual economics. Capricorn rules the efficiency in which they are committed to. He rules contracts. So things that, might be shaky need to be resolved, whether that's, again, relational, financial, some sort of like rental agreement or something like that, could be tested under this. Your resolve could be tested under this because of the fact that, Capricorn is like, it may be hard, but it's worth it in the long run. We're trying to build a legacy. We're trying to build a business. This isn't a charity, is what he would say. Like, the world is hard and, we need to take care of ourselves, and what we have from that, we can be generous, to one, but not everyone. That's Capricorn when it's in a high expression, by the way. It can be very, very, very selfish when it's not in a good expression. But it is, in a lower expression, it's a miser. It's penny pincher and can really struggle with lack mindset and resources. But with Uranus here in the supportive trine, it's trying to change something. It's trying to change some sort of foundation because, Taurus is also an earth sign, that has to do with, our finances, our using our voice. Taurus rules the throat chakra. In the second house, our habits, addictions, the things we put in our mouth is ruled by the second house as well. And it's really trying to shake things up. And this is the last time, that Uranus is going to be retrograde back in Taurus or in Taurus for the next 84 years. Okay. We won't see a lot of major action in Taurus really going on in the further out planets until Chiron ingresses into Taurus later this year. So we got a lot cooking right now, my friends. We got a lot cooking. And what it looks like is a beautiful opportunity to commit to something that you've been wanting to commit, and thanking Uranus and Venus's sextile, last week. And we've got Mars and Mercury in their sextile here tomorrow, on Monday, where there's some sort of new insights and action taking ability, especially on Monday and Tuesday, because that's when Mars and Mercury will be at 27 degrees, and which will trine Taurus. Okay. Now, a couple of other things is that here in the middle, sometimes we call this a grand mini trine, but we have a sextile. All right. So Saturn and Neptune are at 27 and 29 degrees. They are officially now both in the karmic degrees. 27 through 29 are what are called the finality degrees. These are all the long stories. So with Neptune, at 29 degrees, this is a 14 to 15 year story being brought into completion. And Saturn is a 29-year-old story coming into completion. And the thing about Aries is that because Aries is the first sign, anytime that something returns back to Aries, a new cycle begins, because Aries is the zero card. He's the full card. He is where it starts. It begins again. So it's not just these two moving in new signs. It's that they're restarting the cycle from the zodiacal position, because they're both in 0 degrees of Aries, the very first zodiac sign. So just super fresh energy, especially right up front until Saturn starts to get past about 4 degrees of Aries. And then Neptune's going to get up to 5 degrees of Aries this year before it retrogrades this summer. And Saturn's going to get all the way up to 14 degrees of Aries before he retrogrades this summer. So he's going to get pretty far. He'll retrograde back, but he won't retrograde back into Pisces again. So, all right. Now, and trines are really supportive, and so are sextiles. So these are lovely flowing energies. And like I said, it's like we can use this powerful finality kind of energy, because you can see 27, 22, 29, 27, 26, 26, 28. Like, we are in these final degrees. These are very karmic. And what we're looking at is 2 earth signs that do not want to change. They want to double down. They want consistency, loyalty. They don't want foundations to shake, in these beautiful flowing sextiles, 60 degrees apart, to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, which Pisces is about letting things flow. having faith, surrendering to something bigger than yourself. So it's like the visionary process, the faith process, believing in something bigger. Like there's just this karmic release because Saturn in general is karma, but then Pisces is where karma is stored because it's the 12th house of the super subconscious and like the amniotic fluid of the world because it's like water of water. So it's true karma coming into a completion before a new era begins. So where this aspect is in your chart, where it is in Capricorn is really important because it's going to tell you where this fresh beginning is starting. Wherever Taurus is at 27, it's going to show you what's changing up. And then wherever these late degrees of Saturn and Neptune are, is where you're cleansing, like really, really purging stuff out. Okay. And last but not least is obviously we've got the North and the South node. I don't use AstroSeek to track the nodes. They are typically off. So right now, the North and South node are actually at 9 degrees of Pisces and Virgo, officially in that last decan, between 9 to 0 degrees. And we are really in this like last push of purge and cleansing and clearing and regaining our faith and our trust with the North Node in Pisces and having to think about things in nonlinear ways, more feminine ways, more cyclical cycle ways. And I keep seeing it more and more in the general algorithms too, that's really starting to come through. And, we're, like I said, we're only one moon away from eclipse season beginning. And then it starts to usher in a new eclipse story that will take 2 years to be brought into completion. And that first story is going to start at 28 degrees of Aquarius. All right. So don't worry about that. I will prepare you for that when we get closer. Right now, the most important thing is that you visualize and create plans and commitments. I am writing a literal contract to myself that I am not going to let myself think a certain way. I'm not going to allow certain things to cross my lips or leave my lips. And that like this house that we're in is mine. I'm actually going to ask our loan officer to print off like a version of signing the document that I can copy, and you just every day start signing it and really like owning and visualizing it. And we're even borrowing my parents' Suburban because we have so many kids and we need a Suburban. So just visualizing even driving the Suburban tomorrow, that's like, this is the kind of car that we have. This is our house. Like really embodying those things is something that I would encourage you guys to use that architectural vision to commit to something. Discipline yourself around something. Something's going to have to change for that to happen, though, and it may make you uncomfortable. That's what Uranus does. He brings disruption for change, much needed change usually. So keep all of that in mind. When you guys look at the notes, you'll see my tarot card prompt. We will have class on Monday from 11 to 12:30. So don't worry about that. We'll have our normal class. However, I will be on vacation, so I won't just be mingling and doing a bunch of visible things until I get back to work, which will be on Thursday. So I hope that this is helpful for you guys and that it helps you, prep and pay attention to the very first new moon of the year that's trying to set us up for longevity, long-term success, with a lot of discipline and commitment required. Okay. All right, my friends, until I see you guys in class, I hope that you have a beautiful evening and a beautiful new moon. Until then, see ya. Bye.